Hello, Namaskar and Adab to all my friends from your friend astrologer and guide Irfan, once more with you from your very own channel Astro Assurance. One of the very important areas of our lives is relationship, and in today's time we often find, because of the variance in our needs, being more open to what we need, even sexually or even materialistically, there are bound to be sometimes compatibility issues. And one way of looking at compatibility issues is, of course, the horoscope matching through the 36 Kuta points, but there are other ways to also look at whether horoscopes will be matched or the companions can be matched. I have already done one video a few days back where I have said, through my explanation of what the zodiac sign of your partner is, how you can ascertain through that what are the needs of the partner, so that you are able to keep them in mind when you get into a relationship, and through understanding the needs of the partner you can keep the partner more happy, more satisfied, and keep the marriage more stable, also keep the union more stable. However, that is still, I would say, at a 70,000 feet level. Now if you go deeper and deeper into astrology, you will find that there are so many areas which open up, which tell us why sometimes we may be getting into challenges one after the other in one relationship after the other. Now there is no golden rule that you should be marrying only this kind of a person to be happy. A lot of it also goes, ourselves are compatible, what our personality is, what our character is, and also how flexible, malleable we are, and how much we are ready to work on the relationship. But one of the very important areas to see whether compatibility may not be an issue is to see within our own horoscopes, even before we go into the horoscope of the partner, and knowing whether we can get into a challenge with the partner, or there is a probability we may get into a challenge with a partner, even at a very basic level, but at a very deeper level, is seen through the sign compatibility between the sign of the 7th house in the D1 chart, in the Lagna chart, and the sign of the D9 chart, the 7th house sign of the D9 chart. So these two signs, the sign, I'm not talking about the planets here, we will talk about the planets more in a later videos, where we will go in depth about the compatibility between the planets which were involved in the 7th house of the D1 and the 7th house of the D9. Here we are getting in depth into understanding through our own horoscopes whether there can be probable compatibility issues, companionship issues later on. How do we see it? We see it through at a foundational level, but at a deeper level, what is the sign energy of the 7th house of the D1 and how it relates to the sign energy of the 7th house of the D9 chart. So I am going to open up and give you some insights into how do we see whether there can be a probability of challenges in the future, in the long run, between us and a partner, basis the sign energies, compatibility or not so much compatibility between the 7th house sign energies of the D1 and the 7th house sign energy of the D9. So for example, when we look at the compatibility issues, let's start say at the 50,000 feet level. Now we know there are 4 elements: the water element, the earth element, the air element, and the fire element. If you have the elements which are controlling the 7th house sign energies of the D1 and the 7th house sign energies of the D9 chart, if the elements are not compatible, for example, one is a water element and the other is a fire element which control the signs. For example, in the D1 chart you have the Cancer sign, which is the sign of a water element, and in your D9 chart the 7th house sign energies are Aries sign, which is a fiery sign. So here it shows that in your marriage, in the long run, you may have challenges where you may move from one end of the pendulum to the other, from high emotionality to high anger, temperamental issues also. So you will have to contend with both the ends of the spectrum. Sometimes it may not be easy, but water and earth elements probably may be able to go better with each other, because the water is one what nourishes the earth, and for example air and the fire energies, because it is the air which gives the energy to the fire. If you take out the air, fire extinguishes. So keep this in mind, that the elements should not be of completely opposite ends of the spectrum, they should also be harmonious to each other. So that is a level 1 of to see whether the compatibility is there or not. Level 2 of the compatibility is that the signs should not be opposite signs to each other. For example, if your Lagna is Aries, what is the 7th house sign? Libra. If the Lagna is Taurus, what is the 7th house sign? Scorpio. If the Lagna is Gemini, what is the 7th house sign? Sagittarius. So these opposite signs should not rule the 7th house sign of the D1 and the 7th house sign of the D9. So for example, if in your D1 chart the 7th house sign is Aries and the opposite sign of that, which is the Libra sign, rules the 7th house of the D9 chart. So here you will find that opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of the personality of the person, the characterization of the person. So sometimes you may also find duality in the person. You are not able to fathom what kind of a relationship you are getting into, and whatever may be the zodiac sign of the partner, sometimes you may have more than one partner, but because of the duality of energies between your D1 sign of the 7th house and the D9 sign of the 7th house being opposite, you will also find in your relationship, you may find the elements again opposite ends of the pendulum coming into the being. Your partner, whoever you are with, may tell you that I never had these issues with my earlier partner, but I seem to be having these with you. And you will find whoever you end up with, there will always be these challenges because the energies seem not to be compatible with each other. Now the rule number 3, which is again a guideline, which is that the lord of the sign of the 7th house of the D1 chart should not get debilitated in the 7th house sign of the D9 chart. For example, if the 7th house sign energies of your D1 chart is Aries, ruled by Mars, where does Mars get debilitated in? Which sign? In Cancer. Cancer sign should not be the ruler of the 7th house sign of your D9 chart. If the 7th house sign of the D1 chart is Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter, where does Jupiter get debilitated in? In which sign? Capricorn. The 7th house sign energies of your D9 chart should not be Capricorn, because then it shows that on the surface level it seems to be good, the matching may be good. However, in deeper, more resolute issues, in substantive issues of life where obstacles can come into the marriage, there can be challenges between the partners. Here the characteristics of the D9 sign energies will overwhelm the sign energies of the D1, and so because the 7th house sign lord of the D1 chart gets getting debilitated in the 7th house sign of the D9 chart, so in the most toughest of situations, the natural character of the 7th lord of the D1 getting debilitated in the 7th house sign energies of the D9 will come out, and you may find that the partner may not come across as supportive as needed in your most trying of circumstances, most trying of situations. Now we go even deeper. The signs should not be 3 signs away from each other or 3 houses away from each other. What does that mean? If your Lagna of your D1 chart is Aries, what is the 3rd house then? So if the Lagna is Aries, the 3rd house is Gemini. If your Lagna is Taurus, the 3rd house is Cancer. If the Lagna is Gemini, then the 3rd house is Leo. And you will find that the 3rd house lord is never friendly with the Lagna lord. In any instance you see, at best it may be between neutral to unfriendly, but the 3rd house lord for any Lagna will not be friends with the Lagna lord. So if your 7th house sign energies of your D1 chart is Aries, the 7th house sign energies of your D9 chart should not be Gemini or should be avoided. If the 7th house sign energies of your D1 chart is Cancer, then the 7th house sign energies of your D9 chart should not be Virgo, because Virgo sign is the 3rd sign from Cancer sign. Leo sign is the 3rd sign from the Gemini sign. So there should be an attempt to try and avoid these modalities if possible. These are guidelines, these are not absolute rules. However, they do reflect in circumstances, especially if your own horoscope has many other negative placements, negative doshas and all, then these sign energies will also play a part in adding to the compatibility issues or even gains. Let's go even deeper. The sign should not be 6th or 8th from each other. For example, if your Lagna is Aries, what is the 6th sign? Virgo. Which is the 8th sign? Scorpio. If your Lagna is Taurus, then what is the 6th sign? The 6th sign is Libra. What is the 8th sign then from, if Lagna is Taurus, then the 8th sign is Sagittarius. So if the Lagna is Taurus, 6th and the 8th signs of Libra and Sagittarius can be hindrance signs, can be hindrance energies to the Lagna. So if your sign of the 7th house in your D1 chart is Aries, it is better if the 7th house sign energies of your D9 chart is neither Virgo, neither Scorpio. The reason is, if the sign of the D9 chart, 7th house sign of the D9 chart is 6th from your 7th house D1 sign, then the D1 sign is 8th from the sign of the 7th house of your D9. So then it becomes the 6-8 relationship. It becomes both an inimical relationship and an obstacle bringing relationship. And here generally, what is the relationship of the D9 7th house sign from your D1 7th house sign that prevails? If it is the 6th sign from your 7th house sign of your D1 chart, then there may be some challenges, there may be issues. Sometimes it comes across as if your spouse or your partner is also antagonistic to you or not supportive to you or even inimical to you. And sticking with the elements, both if possible should not be of the same types. For example, both should not be of fiery signs. For example, 7th house sign of the D1 chart is Aries, then 7th house sign of the D9 chart is Sagittarius or Leo, or the 7th house sign energies of the D1 chart is Cancer and the 7th house sign energies of your D9 chart is Scorpio. Both of them are watery sign. Then there could be high degree of emotionality also coming in here, high degree of flexibility also, even the chance of through the high emotionality also being able to move away. It could be better if both of them are earth signs, for example. However, it's always better they are not also of opposite nature. For example, the first rule that we gave, that they should be of compatible elements. And lastly, whatever the signs may be, now we have looked at what could be the tentative challenges or what could also be better combinations. But what do the combinations bring in? So for example, if the combination is where the 7th house sign energies of your D1 chart is Aries, whereas the 7th house sign energies of your D9 chart is, for example, Cancer. So what can this combination bring about? So this is not only about the partner, that your partner will be like this, but it shows that in your relationship these combinations can play a part. Whereas in your partnership, or when you come together, both could be looking together at goals. What is the goal of the relationship? What we want to do? So Aries sign energies is a very goal oriented sign energy, whereas the Cancer sign energy is very emotional sign energy. Or the relationship could be very goal oriented, at the same time there could also be a lot of emotional elements in your compatibility, in your stability, and these will play a part. Goals, very strong goals, the amount of willpower that you have to wanting to achieve goals, and the emotional connect between the partners will also play a big part. Now on the other hand, if your 7th house sign energies of your D1 chart says, for example, Gemini, and the 7th house sign energies of your D9 chart is Sagittarius, so what is the combination which may throw up in your relationship? Gemini is a sign of communication, of being able to influence each other and being able to influence the relationship also, and communication also, and the compatibility in the communication also becoming the cementing factor between the two. And what is Sagittarius energies? Fun, adventure, risk taking. So the factors which will bring about various kind of variations, permutations, combinations, issues, challenges, fun, love, affection will be the combination of these. In your most trying circumstances, these combinations will come up. Communication will play a part, how you are able to influence each other, how you are able to create an impression on each other, and then how much fun you are having in the relationship, how adventurous you are, how much you travel together, how much you are able to go out of the way to influence each other, help each other, support each other. For example, the energies of Gemini and Sagittarius I am talking about. So these combinations will also reflect in your relationship based on which is the sign energy of the 7th house of the D1 chart and what is the sign energy of the 7th house in your D9 chart. So friend, now that we have talked about what are the various elements because of the sign energies of the 7th house of your D1 chart and the sign energy of the 7th house of your D9 chart, what are the permutations and combinations which are possible, what are the more gain bringing combinations, what are the challenge bringing combinations, how the distance from each other play a part, the 6-year relationship plays a part, similar kind of elements especially which are compatible to each other like fire and air play a part, water and earth play a part, and how in the end the combinations together will give you a true reflection of how the energy could throw up, what kind of relationship you may have, whoever the partner would be. Those combinations will come up in your life every now and then basis the relationship between the signs of the 7th house of your D1 chart and the 7th house of your D9 chart. It is always better to be more aware so that you know what you could be facing in your relationship, and some elements of these will come up in every relationship that you have, in some relationship more, in some relationship less, based on the horoscope energies of your partner. So friends, understand these energies better so that you now know what could be the challenges that you are facing and why those challenges have been coming about in your relationship, so that understanding these energies you are able to have a more stable, more loving, more caring and a more long lasting relationship. So friend, like this video, share this video, and if you are looking for a personal consultation from me, please reach out to me at the links given below. Till some other time, some other video, this is your friend, astrologer and guide Irfan signing off. Ciao.